The big story right now, 150 Indian citizens who were picked up by the Taliban this morning have been released. They've reached Kabul airport according to sources and are likely to be airlifted out of Afghanistan very soon. Vishnu Shom joining us with the latest details. Vishnu, what more do we know? Put all of this into context for us.
So Ankita, at this stage, our sources are indicating to us that 150 Indians who were in the custody of the Taliban, not kidnapped by the Taliban, they were questioned by the Taliban, have been released. They're on their way to the airport, and one of my sources is indicating that they may physically be inside the airport as well. If they are physically inside the airport, as I believe them to be at this juncture, then it means that they are relatively safe. The next move would be the actual evacuation of these Indian nationals from Kabul International Airport, and that should take place within a short period of time. There are Indian Air Force aircraft in that area which would pick them up as soon as they get permission to fly into Kabul International Airport. It's quite busy in terms of evacuations and the like over there, but we have very close relations with the US forces over there. So it's been an extremely trying several hours now for at least 150 Indian nationals. I believe they're all Indian nationals. There could be a few Afghan ones. Again, it's confusing. But what we were told is that they were taken away by the Taliban earlier on. Some Afghan reports had suggested that they were kidnapped. We were able to find out that in fact they were not kidnapped, but they were questioned by the Taliban. This could have been an element of the Taliban police. This sort of questioning took place quite close to the Kabul International Airport, which is the Hamid Karzai International Airport. And since then they have been released, they are free. And the question which I asked our sources is whether they were physically inside the airport, because this has been the problem. Indian nationals have been waiting outside the airport, that outside perimeter maintained by the Taliban, who've been making access to the inside of the airport absolutely impossible. And I was told that in fact these Indian nationals might in fact at this juncture be inside the airport. If that is the case, there is a relative aspect of safety. This comes on a day in which 85 Indian nationals have already been flown out of Kabul and are in Dushanbe in Tajikistan. We are told that in a finite period of time, either through the Air Force or through commercial flights or through the help of other partners, these Indian nationals who were evacuated earlier today will come back to India in a finite period of time. But the focus really has been on 150 Indian nationals who were indeed taken away by the Taliban. They are now safe now, and we believe they're back inside India.
Right, Vishnu, as you said, it's been a trying morning for those citizens, but also really to make sense of the information coming out of Afghanistan. Local media reports indicating earlier that they may have been kidnapped or held by the Taliban. Later on, more clarity on questioning and passports being looked at, and then the Indians now, as you're saying, safely inside Kabul airport. But really the bigger challenge now, do we have a sense of how many Indians continue to be in Afghanistan, and given that just getting to Kabul airport is now such a big challenge, what happens to them?
Ankita, that's a difficult question to answer. I think with these evacuations taking place, and assuming that the second larger lot of 150 Indian nationals does take place, then the sense is that there may not be very many Indians in Kabul to evacuate. But again, it's difficult to say at this juncture. What we do know, however, is that there are a much larger number of Afghan nationals looking to get to India. Their visas are being processed, but how they actually manage to get inside the airport and are evacuated, if at all, that needs to be seen. But at the priority right now, getting these Indian nationals out, and if they are safe now within Kabul International Airport, as one hopes is the case, then this one major hurdle would have been resolved. But, as you mentioned, getting into Kabul airport has been very difficult now for a period of time. That outer perimeter, breaching it has been difficult. There have been gunshots fired in the air. It's complete chaos. Actually, physically getting close to the airport has been difficult. Huge jams, huge traffic, and, a very defiant Taliban sentry force which is established over there. So in order to work contacts or deal with that situation outside Kabul airport to ensure the entry of Indian nationals very, very difficult. Let us hope and pray that has happened. Because if it has, as I am led to believe, then the evacuation would be more or less a formality once that aircraft does get in.